What is up, guys? Broadside here, coming at you with another spectacular Overwatch 2 patch notes video. I know, this is a bunch of random stuff. We're not going to talk about this that much, I don't think, these little competitive updates. Just
Yeah,
like willy-nilly.
we're gonna skip over most of like the random stuff like new modes. Like realistically, this is mostly just for the competitive aspect of like how these characters are going to change. So we're gonna get right into it. We're gonna do it in the usual order. I'll start it off. Tank updates. Orisa got a damage reduction increase of 10% on Fortify. This should allow her to be tankier when using Fortify. Definitely think she needed these buffs. She's a bit weak. I don't think this will be enough though, personally, to really push her back to where she needs to be. But it's a start. So Nathan, you can kick it off with Ramatra now.
Alright, Ramatra, projectile now passes through enemy heroes, but it's still blocked by barriers, and then I think they're talking about the E.
Yeah,
And
the Vortex.
this is interesting. I don't know if this is really a buff or a nerf. I feel like in some situations it's honestly better to hit the enemy hero
I could
with
see
it, but
both, but I think it's more like you could throw it at the ground if you wanted it in front of you. It's more like a Reinhardt body blocking it, even though he doesn't have a shield up and it doesn't hit where you want to hit it, because you
mm,
are trying to hit the smaller targets usually. But let's go on to Reinhardt, which I think this buff's actually quite big.
Oh my goodness. He got a 200 health increase on his barrier field. 1200 to 1400.
I think that's actually quite substantial. I don't
no,
think it's
I when I first heard though, 200 health and not like the barrier part, I was like so hyped. I thought Reinhardt was becoming like the tank of the century.
realistically he should be, but I think this will be a really strong contentious buff for him. So we're going to Wrecking Ball, quad cannons, which is just his basic firing mechanism. Manual reload time reduced from 2 to 1.6. This does not affect automatic reload, which is still 2. This is a slight buff. It shouldn't change too much, but it will increase his damage per match by probably a substantial amount. But most players probably won't notice much of a difference. If you're a ball main, you'll probably notice it.
Those are number of shots to reach maximum spread increased from 8 to 12 and spread reduced by 12. They're just really trying to make her, I feel like, us the more railgun reliant because this is basically only buffing the railgun.
They've basically been trying to make her fit what her character niche was supposed to be since the start without making it too broken. This will be interesting. It basically just makes her a little bit more accurate overall. So I think it'll be a decent buff. I think Sojourn is just a weird character because she seems like she should be stronger than she really is. We'll see how this affects her. We'll talk about it in the tier
She was
list.
pretty strong when she first came out, but that was about it.
Yeah, overall she's been weird. Very strange character. 76
Alrighty,
though.
Soldier 76, he's got a bit of changes. His pulse rifle damage increased from 18 to 19. Helix rockets, explosion damage increased from 80 to 90. Biotic field, healing per second increased from 35 to 40. So a bunch of decent buffs here
I was gonna
to
say
pretty
pretty
much
much
his whole kit.
a buff to the entire kit, which I think is just to combat the fact that since Overwatch 2 has come out, Cassidy and Ash have just outclassed Soldier, and it's not that 76 has been bad. It's more just that the other two have just been they've been more of like a go-to pick than he has. So I think this should help him compete a little bit more. These are pretty decent. The healing isn't much. Helix Rocket, it's not that much in each specific buff, but if you're adding this all up throughout an entire game, I think it'll be quite a bit. Going on to the next one. This is a big one. Symmetra's rework. So I'm going to start from the bottom actually because this is kind of how I look at this. Turret damage 40 to 25. People hate the turrets. People don't like her. Because of the turrets, I think this will be huge, and this is a major nerf to her turrets, but they do now reveal enemies for 1 additional second after damage. I think it's a nice little utility. Give her turrets some use, but stop making them a giant murdering car wash. With that said, they did give a buff to her primary fire, or no, secondary fire on the primary weapon. Impact damage increased from 45 to 50, and secondary fire max explosion damage 45 to 50, and then regenerate up to 30 shield health per second when primary fire deals damage to barriers. So this will make her harder to kill, do a little bit more damage with that secondary fire, but her turrets will no longer be the problem. Meaning, when you're worrying about Symmetra, you're going to be worried about more fighting the actual character, which I don't know about you guys. I think that is a pretty healthy change and will make her a lot less frustrating to deal with.
Oh, yeah. Indeed, indeed.
Might actually make her better too. She'll be a little bit more viable. I think this is a pretty decently good change for everybody. Let's get some Torbjorn next.
A lot of changes for him, some buffs, and are these nerfs?
Turret's
I
nerfed.
mean, I sort of. These got nerfs for the turret, which I guess they really are just him putting these turret characters in the grave. But making him more reliant on his actual gun by increasing the secondary fire spread, is that a nerf?
Reducing it so it's less spread. So it's
Oh
a
yeah,
buff.
reduced. I don't know why I said increased. And then turret damage reduced from 14 to 11. And then the cooldown increased by 2 seconds, 10 to 12.
So the
And
turret's
then
getting nerfed. Yeah.
overload, um, a little bit of a buff. I mean, it's kind of like McCree roll.
Like Reaper too. Yeah, like Reaper's Wraith. That'll be
Yeah.
interesting because you'll see
Mm.
more Torbjorns kind of getting in the fight actually, and the turret becoming a secondary function. It seems a little bit more out of character for him than Sim because his like whole character to me has always been turret based. But let's see how that goes. Torbjorn's a very weird character. He never really has been like completely meta or completely garbage. He's just weird, especially for low elo. He tends to be decent.
Painkiller.
So,
Kiriko.
Kiriko is next.
Recovery reduced from 1 to 0.9 seconds.
It's a pretty
for
minor
the heal
buff,
Bufuda.
but I think like what they say here, the whole point is to be able to weave the kunai in more smoothly, which is actually what they did with the kunai reload cancellation as well, a few patches back. Basically, they're just trying to make Kiriko more smooth to play. I don't think this will change her position in the meta at all. Do you guys? She'll still probably be
No.
the same.
She's been changed like every single patch. They've changed at least like something with her.
She's like going to be like an Ana, in my opinion, where she's always going to be good just because her kit's really well designed. Last one. We'll let the tank actually do this one since he has to deal with them.
Okay. Oh, horrible. Discord nerf. I've been waiting for this for a long time. Maximum range reduced by 10 meters, which might not seem like a lot, but that's like a whole like 3 Widowmakers. Time. No, it's probably like 5. Time to wear off the target with non-line of sight reduced from 2 to 1.5 seconds, which basically means you walk around the corner, it's gone. And this is perfect. This is every man's dreams. And yet I might as well just be removed from the game, but this is taking steps in the right direction.
I think this is a good change here because I don't. They didn't overly nerf him to the point where they gutted it, but they just kind of took a little bit off to make it a little bit more, fair. Because that is one of the easiest free value abilities in the game. Basically, making it now that you're going to have to be a little bit closer, and if the tank gets hit with it and they're playing the corner, they're going to be able to bounce back and get back in the fight just a little bit quicker. I think this is a healthy change, a step in the right direction for the Zenyatta anger people have. Overall, though, this is going to be quite a meta shakeup. Stay tuned for a tier list. I may release a mid-patch tier list to break down all the changes and like where I think it's going to push people. But you probably won't see majority of the changes taking too much of an effect till beginning of next season. That's usually when you start to see really the meta work itself out. Other than that, thank you guys for watching.